Hey boys, welcome back to the channel where we're going to be going through the round 4 review and discussion. And boy oh boy, we are not starting out any better than we did last week. I always dread doing the round reviews after the Broncos not only lose but get absolutely embarrassed like that. That was poor. That was very poor. And I made a tweet which pretty much sums up my thoughts about the Broncos, and it went somewhat like I wasn't that displeased with the Broncos last round against the Eels. I actually thought there was some good signs there. I thought defensively in the first half, I mean, it was anybody's game. The Broncos could have led in that match, but bombed a couple of tries. It was a tight one. I thought the forward packs were giving it to each other, and it was a good solid first half. But then the second half, obviously the drop balls, the possession, and the way the 6 to go, and the fatigue happens now. You know, the Broncos are always going to lose, and they let a fair few tries in, but I thought they were good signs. But then to back it up the next week and do the exact same mistakes, like the two most important things in rugby league, the Broncos were abysmal. The completion rates once again were just dreadful, and then the defense was awful. It started out with the edge defense. Honestly, I feel a bit bad for Jesse Arthurs. I actually think he's been pretty solid on the wing for the Broncos. I still believe Herbie Farnworth or even Xavier Coates should probably play over Arthurs, but he had to play in the centers, and he did not defend well. I mean, the whole edge was just in disarray from the get-go. You know, they were shooting up. Some was shooting up. Others were staying back. And then you flip it over the other side. Darius Boyd's edge was just... It was just as bad, if not worse. That was... I mean, Boyd... one-on-one, if a player runs directly at Boyd, he's not the worst defender, but... Oh, gee, some of his defensive reads and positional play was some of the worst I've ever seen on a football field. It was disgraceful. Now I think some people are saying there's no excuse, and that is true, but I never thought the Broncos were going to win this game. I obviously tipped the Roosters because even with Tedesco out, I honestly, when I heard the news Tedesco was out, I started to get a little thought that, oh, maybe the Bronx have a sneaky chance, but that got snuffed out very quickly. But yeah, I mean, the Broncos missing a lot of talent. You know, Pengai Jr., David Fafita, Alex Glenn, Jake Turpin, That's a lot of talent, and it's a lot of the positions are very crucial. The back row, like I actually thought for the Broncos the best player for us was actually Ethan Bullimore. I thought Bullimore was actually very good. He impressed me quite a bit, but the rest of the team, even Payne Haas had a bit of a shocker. He still put in. He still played a good game. He was still one of the Broncos' best, but coming back from the second half, that missed tackle on Isaac Liu pretty much set the standards, because I was like, what was it? It was like 28-0 at halftime. The Broncos had a good first set, and I'm like, okay, they might get a little bit back into this. The Roosters might just have their foot off the throat slightly, and then Isaac Liu, a little right foot step, Payne Haas, and someone else, I can't remember, it might have been Pay, or I can't remember, but just terrible missed tackle. And I feel for Payne Haas because he's always just incredible and he plays huge minutes, but they just had half time. It was 3 minutes after half time, and that was bad. So, the Broncos, the edge defense was shocking, and then the ruck defense got dreadful as well. So there's nothing really else to talk about in this game. It was crazy. The Roosters, I mean, they just played a quality game of footy. I don't think anyone really stood out. I mean, Brett Morris was excellent at fullback. I thought Luke Keary was great. Their forward pack, their forward pack was good, but it wasn't even like their forward pack. I mean, Hargraves, usually when the Roosters go really good, is Hargraves is on top, but I felt like Hargraves didn't even play that big of minutes. Like, they didn't need him. It was just it was a shambolic performance by the Broncos. So, yeah, not much else to say about that one. That's and I'm salty too because the Broncos are taking on the freaking they're taking on the freaking Seagulls this round on Thursday, and I'm already primed. The Seagulls lost to the Eels in a heartbreaker. The Seagulls are gonna freaking flog the Broncos this week, dude. Oh man, it's not looking good. But let's move on here. We got the Panthers taking on the Warriors. I did pick the Panthers. I thought, the Warriors were great against the Dragons. We'll talk about the Dragons, but I think, I think it goes to show how bad the Dragons were. I'm still not taking anything away from the Warriors. They were excellent, but they really weren't forced to push themselves, like they weren't put under pressure. They really didn't. They weren't really matched at all in that last round. So I thought it was a little bit. It was a little bit of a false positive from the Warriors. And I did think, I didn't know when it would happen. I thought maybe week 1, maybe round 2, or maybe this week, or maybe 10 weeks from now. I thought the Warriors would start to struggle, and not through any fault of their own. It's tough. They got to stay in Australia. They got a lot of injuries. I mean, Ken Mamalo was out. Peter Hiku was out. They had a pretty awful back line. I mean, I thought Pompey and, who was the other one? Who was the other back for them? Where the hell are the Warriors, dude? Who was it? Oh yeah, Perham and Pompey. I thought they were decent, but their team was just way weaker. They got so many injuries, and I thought the Panthers would win, and they won pretty convincingly. I thought Matt Burton was excellent. Stephen Crichton looked good. Viliami Kikau was always a threat. Yeah, and it was sort of the forward pack just got on top of the Warriors, and they just had a little bit too much strike out wide, and they sort of snuffed out Alisi Katoa quite a bit, because he's an absolute monster. But I think teams are going to start realizing that if they target Katoa, the Warriors don't have that much strike in their forward pack. Honestly, they got a good hard-working pack, but Katoa is like the only real X factor. So if they can just sort of target him and take him out of the game, they don't have a lot else. I mean, Tohu Harris has got a good offload and a bit of skill, but yeah, I think they were found out, and I sort of predicted it. But I still think I think the Warriors can challenge. It's just tough. It's just tough. Like the injuries, like that's the biggest killer. Like their team looked very weak on paper, especially with Mamalo and Hiku being ruled out as well. So it was a tough one for the Warriors, and the Panthers, I think did pretty well after that just horrible performance last round against the Knights. But let's move on. Storm v Rabbitohs. So I was 3 for 3. I was 3 for 3, and spoilers, I didn't do well for the rest of the round. But Storm, I obviously picked Storm. I thought they were absolute certainties in this game. I mean, come on, dude. They got flogged by the Raiders, and I don't think the Storm were even that bad against the Raiders, but the Raiders were just so good, and you just know for a fact, like they even the Rabbitohs again without Cody Walker, they just lose so much attack. They're just very one-dimensional without Cody Walker. I gotta give props to my boy Latrell Mitchell. He was excellent, dude. It's the first game I've seen where he touched the football. And this is the weird thing, because Mitchell actually got involved. He got his hands on the footy and he looked really good, And this is what I was expecting last week against the Roosters. I thought he would get his hands on the footy and try to dominate the Roosters that way. Because I know a lot of the commentators were saying Mitchell played really good last week. I thought he was okay, but I was hoping for something like this type of performance. But he turned it on against the Storm. I thought he was excellent. I would say he was their best player for sure. So hopefully that's good sign of things to come. If he just gets his hands on the footy, dude. I mean, he just has to touch the football. That's what he has to do. But the Storm, they were too strong, and it was actually even a better performance because Josh Adokar, they were pretty much playing a man down the whole game because Adokar was just a passenger. And to lose Adokar in his kick returns and danger and attack, that's a pretty big loss. So honestly, the Storm played very well to have a passenger on the wing and still win pretty comfortably. Cameron Smith was great. Cameron Munster, I think, was best on ground without a doubt. He was immense. It's baffling how elusive Munster is. He doesn't seem like that quick, but he can just step. He palm. He just gets through tacklers. He's a bit of a freak, isn't he? I actually want to see how many runs did Campbell Graham actually made the most run meters. Pappenhausen was good again. But the Rabbitohs, where was Mitchell? God, the stat thing is so stupid. How do you... It doesn't even have runs and shit. What the hell? Alright, NRL.com, I don't even, where the hell do you see the proper stats, dude? Whatever. I know for a fact Mitchell made a lot of runs and made some good ground. But yeah, Storm won pretty convincingly. And without Cody Walker, who I think, he's back this week, so the Rabbitohs are definitely going to be fairly good for that. Eels v Seagulls. So this is my first loss. I did tip the Seagulls in this one, and let's get the elephant out of the room early on here. There was definitely a backwards pass. They should have won at the end of the game. The thing that bothers me the most is just the deflating feeling, because I obviously don't go for Eels or Seagulls. I'm not one of their fans. I don't mind watching them both play because I think they play good footy, but I'm not a fan either way. I don't have a boat in the race here. And just because I tipped the Seagulls, I wasn't I can't believe the Seagulls didn't win. But it's just such a deflating feeling. Obviously, the Eels and the Eels fans are going to be extremely happy with the call and, just happy in general. But all the Seagulls fans and just the rest of the fans, every unbiased fan, it's just such a deflating feeling because you go from a potential match-winning try on the buzzer to be snuffed out by a bad decision. It's you don't see many games where a match winner happens in the last tackle of the match, basically. So it's always disappointing when it's just such a because the hype around something like that is amazing, and then for it to be snuffed out, it feels bad. But I'm going to talk about this for a second. There were a lot of bad calls in this game. So and it went for both sides. So the first one, the Kane Evans try, in my opinion, for the Eels was a knock on. I actually think, and I think that one's a 50-50 one. I think a lot of people in watching this probably think it's a try. Some people might not. I don't think it was a try. I think he knocked it on. I think he bobbled it. I think the Dylan Walker one was definite no try. And the funny thing about the Dylan Walker one was during the video review, they obviously kept looking at the backwards angle. They kept looking at whether he was sort of tackled and then promoted the footy. They were sort of just looking at that. And then when they awarded the try, literally the first replay they showed was the front on slowed up angle of him dropping it. And I'm just like, what? Like, do the video refs not see that angle? Or did they not look at that angle? And obviously the Fox Sports guys saw that footage and then put it up on the big screen straight away because they knew it was a knock on. I'm like, what is happening? Why didn't the video ref look at that replay? I don't know, dude. That was a weird one, but he definitely dropped that. So there were two bad decisions. The forward pass was a bad decision. And then there was another play that was against the Seagulls. So I think the Seagulls got dudded a few more times than the Eels. And it was where I think it was Tommy Trbojevic scooted out from marker. Dylan Brown was offside and Tom tried to get the offload away and it hit Dylan Brown because he was standing in the way. The ball went backwards to start with, but it hit someone in an offside position, and they called it a knock on and gave the Eels possession. So there are a lot of bad decisions in this game, and it's disappointing, but it was still a great game. Still a fantastic game. I think both these teams haven't lost too much respect in the sense of a finals berth or potential grand final aspirations. I don't know. I still think the Seagulls are probably a better team overall. And not even saying that because of the bad decisions and that the Seagulls should have won at the end. I just think they have a better balanced team in general. But yeah, I think it was a quality game. Just sort of got marred by a couple of bad decisions. But thankfully. Thankfully, I don't go for the Seagulls, so I'm not salty about the the bad calls. But yeah, there were other chances to win it. Like other people always say, there were chances of the Seagulls to win it, and the Seagulls they let in a try literally. Yeah, 39 minutes and then 40. They let two tries in right on the stroke of either side of halftime. Like. That's where they really lost it. So, there can be a lot said about that. But yeah, quality game. Probably game of the round, potentially. It's definitely one of the games of the round. Then we move on to the Cowboys v the Sharks. So the funny thing is, I tipped the Cowboys, but on Saturday night, I put money on the Sharks because the more I was thinking about it, I'm like, no Tamalolo. The Sharks, they've looked decent, but they haven't won any games. They're due for a win. And then also the Cowboys just don't beat the Sharks. Like the Sharks they're a bogey side for the Cowboys. So I put money on the Sharks to win, and obviously they did. So I give myself a bit of a 50-50 one there. But yeah, the Sharks are pretty strong. I thought the Cowboys were pretty awful in this game, honestly. Just, yeah, I don't know. Things just didn't go right. I felt like Clifford didn't really get into the game like last week. Again, they were taking on the Titans last week, so it's a little bit. It's hard to judge at times, but I thought Clifford didn't really get into it. Drinkwater definitely had one of his worst games he's played in a while. I still think he was okay, but he definitely didn't have one of his best games. Valentine Holmes made a couple of mistakes. It was just one of those nights that, and it always happens against Cowboys against the Sharks. There's just things that happen, and the Cowboys just had a bit of an off night, didn't play their best footy, and the Sharks are very good. Ronaldo Mulatalo is an absolute monster, and I'm very excited because he's a Queenslander. Dude, honestly, I know the Blues are probably pretty cock-a-hoot about their aspirations in Origin, but Queensland have some very, very good young players coming through in the forward pack and in the back. So Mulatalo is an absolute monster. Jesse Ramian was absolute monster as well. He was huge. I thought Sean Johnson was actually pretty bad. Sean Johnson was I don't know what to make of Sean Johnson, dude. He looks honestly, I don't know. This game was a bit of a shocker. Like, honestly, I was watching this game and it was, the more I'm thinking about the game again, it was terrible. This game was actually terrible. All I can say is thank God there were so many tries, because it was an absolute stinker. I don't know how many times, but it must have been nearly every time either team scored, they dropped it off the kickoff or during that set of 6. So many errors, so many just silly plays. It was a bad game, but the Sharks just had a little bit too much for the Cowboys, and they got the wood over them. So yeah, bit of a shocker, but a few points in it. So that's the only saving grace there. It wasn't a stinker, and no points, which is the worst of all games. Then we have the freaking Raiders v Knights. So first impressions, Kalen Ponga is an absolute superstar, dude. It makes me so mad, because every time I go on Twitter and like Fox Sports puts up something about Kalen Ponga, most people in the comments are like bagging up Ponga and being like he's overrated and this and that and this and that. And I'm just like, I just don't get it. Like, obviously Fox Sports are going to promote Kalen Ponga because he's just a likable kid. He's very nice. He's not controversial. He's not a dirty player. He's a very exciting player to watch. Obviously, they're going to promote him. So people are always up in arms whenever Fox Sports talks about Kalen Ponga, blah, blah, blah. But that game just goes to show how good he is. Without Kalen Ponga last week, and obviously Mitchell Pearce, like the Knights, didn't really have too much attack, but they still fought their way to a draw with some great defense. With Kalen Ponga there, he's unbelievable. He's what he's going to do. Every time he goes to like a short side, or every time he gets the footy, he's going to skip to the outside and either throw the short ball or the long ball, but they just can't defend it. He's just so quick, and he just gets to the outside of the second rower, and the 5'8" or the half, and then the center and winger, they all have to sort of jam in and make split second decisions. And he doesn't pick the right mark all the time. That's definitely something he can work on, but just his ability to skip to the outside and create a 3-on-2, a 2-on-1, he just does it better than anyone. I actually think he does that better than anyone. I'm not saying he's the best fullback, but I think he creates that overlap better than any fullback in the comp, in my opinion. He was incredible. He was far and away the best player on ground. On the flip side, the Canberra Raiders were terrible. They were terrible, dude. I haven't seen the Canberra Raiders play that badly for, I don't know, dude. Back when they were like a laughing stock. They used to be terrible, and that's the way they played. Like, it was from the kickoff as well. Like, it wasn't even so much. They came up with a few errors they came up with so many errors, which was terrible, but it was more their defense and their forwards. Like, they didn't look like they were ready to play. And I don't want to copy what like bloody Phil Gould and stuff say, but they look like they were on the bus. Like they didn't look like they were ready for the match. Like, the Knights forward pack were running riot. They were running all over the Raiders. The Raiders didn't look strong at all. And I was watching it like, yeah, the Raiders are no chance in this. They don't look enthused in the slightest. And they had a little fight back there, and I thought potentially they might make a game of it and potentially give the Knights a scare if they play good. But they had a little spell of a couple of tries, and then that was pretty much it. They really didn't show anything in that game. But I'm not saying the Raiders are going to be. I'm pretty sure they're gonna play better footy than that. They did beat the Storm last week, so I don't think they're in trouble. But that was a bad game from the Raiders. I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened. I don't know if players were fatigued. I don't know if they that Storm game took it out of them. I don't know if they were overconfident and thought it would just happen, potentially. But yeah, the Knights were way too good. Bradman Best was fantastic. He's only 18. Bit of a freak. The funny thing is that isn't Bradman Best like good friends with Bronson Sherry? And I've sort of I'm not saying Bradman Best is on anything, but I sort of look at Bradman Best at 18 and I'm like, look at the size of him. Look at the size of this kid. And isn't he good friends with Bronson Sherry? I'm half joking. I'm full joking, but half joking, because surely he's not. But he's a bit of a freak for 18. But yeah, he's definitely he's a good player. He's a very good player. But yeah, Kalen Ponga was the standout, because I don't even think Mitchell Pearce was that good. I mean, I thought Pearce's kicking game was solid, but Pearce didn't really do that much. It was the Kalen Ponga show for sure. But that's enough talk about that one. We went on for ages. Then we had, it keeps going around freaking 5, dude. Another freaking upset, dude. The Titans v the West Tigers, and this was a game I obviously tipped the Tigers, but I wasn't confident, because like the Titans are due for a win. You can't keep losing. So, and the Tigers, you know, they're a team that can fade out of games, and the Titans, you know, it was a pretty good game of footy, honestly. I didn't watch all of it. I was sort of in and out of watching it, but from what I saw, like, it was pretty entertaining. There was some absolutely beautiful tries. The Joey Leilua try with the Nofaluma kick was sensational. Nofaluma was just great again. But yeah, the Titans were too good. Ash Taylor looked pretty solid. I thought Jamal Fogarty looked good. He actually, you know, he looked a little bit more confident there. He was getting his hands on the footy, doing a bit more kicking. And I think that's what they need. I think, like I've always said, Fogarty is a really good player. I just think he needs a bit of confidence. He needs to trust his own game and try to, you know, the Titans need Fogarty to control the game. They need him to do a lot of the kicking. They need him to do the, you know, the organising. They need Taylor to play off the back of that. You know, you don't want Taylor to have to do that, because it's shown he's not capable of controlling a game at this moment. You'd rather him play ad lib, play off the cuff, and you know, do that type of stuff. So yeah, the halves were good. I thought Philip Sammy was good again. Brian Kelly was solid. Anthony Don was good. Yeah, and the forward pack, I mean, the standard guys, Fodawaker, Jai Arrow were good. Keegan Hipgrave was pretty solid. So, yeah, honestly, the Titans, I don't think this is a turning point, and I don't think the Titans are going to go on a run or anything like that, but it's a good start. You know, it's a good start. They beat a pretty solid Tigers lineup, and, yeah, you know, I thought the Tigers, though, that they didn't play their best footy. I think Benji Marshall got dropped, and also, who else got dropped? There's a couple of big drops from this game. Harry Grant looks like an absolute gun, though. So that's why I'm like, dude, the Melbourne Storm are in for a nice time next year when he goes back to the Storm. But yeah, he was excellent again. But yeah, the Titans another upset. So yeah, as you can see, we got 1, 2, 3, and then we've lost 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the other loss, the Bulldogs v the Dragons. And so I feel very sort of proud about this, and sort of, what's the word for it? I don't know, but literally every time I've talked about the Bulldogs, I have said numerous times, I just kept saying it. I just kept saying it, that William Opawade should be the fullback for the Dogs. Dallin Watene-Zelezniak is not a fullback. He's a winger. He can be an okay fill-in fullback for sure, but his best spot, like his best attribute, is his kick returns and just hard runs. That's a winger's specialty. William Opawade is the creative type. He's got the best hands in the game. He can actually capitalize on the 2-on-1s, the 3-on-1s, and he's just creative. So Dean Pay finally, I know he watches my video, so he finally listened to me, and he put William Hopoate to fullback, Zalesniak on the wing, and hallelujah, they look pretty good. The Dogs look pretty good. I mean, Kieran Foran was back, which added a huge boost for them. He definitely was gassed, but I mean, Kieran Foran, I just feel so sorry for Kieran Foran, because he is honestly, he's one of the best players he'll never be regarded as like a great, if you know what I mean. If he was uninjured throughout his career, or just, had the odd injury like every other player, he would go down as one of the absolute greats of the game. But he just cannot get on the paddock. As soon as he's on the field, he makes the team look so much better, because he plays so tough, he plays so direct. Every time he gets his, I mean, you could just see the Bulldogs, they're playing so quickly on the back of him. If there was a quick play the ball, give it to Kieran Foran, he would get the play moving. He would take it to the line with pace, he would dish it off, or if there was no one to pass it to, he would take his hits, he would take it on himself to get ground, and he's just such a good player to watch. I just feel so disappointed that he's been just injured for so long. So it's good. It's great to have Kieran Foran back, and he makes that Bulldog side just look so much better. Just getting players moving, like they were playing really quick, like they were running the Dragons ragged. So yeah, Kieran Foran was great. Hopoate was good. Zalesniak was great on the wing. I feel so good that they finally did it. And yeah, their forward pack, I thought Adam Elliott was good. I thought, Fatala Mariner, Tuamanga, all those bench guys who have good impact. So Sawase Sue, they all came on and did a job. And then on the flip side, good God, the Dragons. I don't even know what to say about the Dragons. Now they haven't scored a try in, 2.5 games? They haven't scored a try in 2.5 games. Can you imagine? Like, I know the Broncos have been embarrassed, but can you imagine if the Dragons have faced two good teams in the opening couple of rounds here? They versed the Warriors and the Bulldogs, and they haven't scored a point. They scored 2 points. They haven't scored a try. All I can say is the Dragons are lucky that they started with this draw. That's all I can say, dude. Because holy hell, I'm miffed. Because the funny thing is, I actually thought, I know Corey Norman is copping all sorts of flack still, but I actually thought Corey Norman wasn't that bad at fullback. Like, he carried the ball quite strongly. His kick returns, he did obviously come up with that one pretty poor attempted bomb catch. But other than that, I actually thought Corey Norman was pretty solid at fullback. But I don't know. I don't know. I mean, is it all on Ben Hunt? Maybe. I mean, Adam Clune, he may as well not have played the game. I don't even remember him touching the football. I was excited to see that Clune because he's been talked up a fair bit, and I thought he had a bit about him, but I don't even remember him touching the football. I was like, what is he here for? Oh my God. And then I just keep I'm looking at their forward pack, and I'm like, they are the biggest overrated, the freaking most overrated forward pack I've ever seen. Oh my God, dude. I thought, Frizzell is freaking laughing right now that he's going to the Knights next year, dude. He can't get there quick enough. And I'm not bagging out Frizzell, because I actually think Frizzell's been one of their best players the last couple of weeks, but he must be absolutely just joyous that he's leaving. I would be. Oh my God. And you got guys like, I don't understand. Like, I don't even understand the rotation, dude, because James Graham is past it. Like, everyone. like, this is sort of the double standard I get a little bit frustrated with, because Darius Boyd obviously is awful, and he's way past his prime, but so is James Graham, dude. Like, no one really gives James Graham stick in the media or, you know, fans on Twitter, stuff like that. But James Graham is completely done. But for some reason, McGregor keeps playing James Graham at lock for like the first 40 minutes. And after like 10, 15 minutes, James Graham is gassed. He's out on his feet. You know, he's a competitor and he's been a great player before. So he keeps trying. He keeps taking the ball up. He keeps making his tackles, but he's not up to it. He's not up to the standard anymore. And I'm just like, why is McGregor playing him at lock for like the first 40 to 50 minutes of a game? It's just blowing my mind. And I don't know. I don't know what to say about the Dragons. I don't even know. I don't know. I don't know what they should do, really. Because again, like, I see a lot of people comment like Ravalawa and Jordan Pereira shouldn't be there, but I actually think they're two of their best players. I always get very confused when people bag out Ravalawa and Pereira, because they're strong wingers. Like, they're two guys that actually get the Dragons on the front foot. And they do a good job, but for some reason people bag them out. I don't know. The Dragons, they're awful. You know, the Broncos have been awful, but the Dragons, they don't have any excuse. Like, the Broncos are playing with superstars on the sideline. The Dragons aren't. They're just playing bad, dude. So yeah, that's the round 4 review. That's the round 4 wrap up. As you can see, I got 3. I got 3.5 because I put money on the Sharks to win. So I got 3.5 in my mind. But hopefully you guys enjoyed. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this round 4 review. You know, let me know in the comments what you think. Any standouts, anything important or anything like that. But regardless, hopefully you guys enjoyed. Make sure to like and comment, and I'll see you in the next one.